Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Quite Frankly. Today we are taking a look at a very special product. A product that will actually bring back the joy of photography if you lost it a little bit. Old lenses on new cameras. So join us for today's episode of Quite Frankly. Okay, today we are in Wolvenga at the flea market, and that's a great way, of course, to take some street photography. Now, it isn't the best of weather, but we really wanted to do this video before we left for South Africa next week. So, yeah, the fotodiox autofocus adapter. What is it? How does it work?
When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things it took from me, I know that I am so much better. When I look at what I've done, now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far. I know I'm so much better off, and baby, you don't belong.
Now, if you've been photographing for a while, you probably already saw those really nice old vintage lenses. One of the most popular mounts is actually the M42 mount, which is a screw mount. Now, those lenses you can often buy on markets for maybe 5 or 10 euros. And believe it or not, the quality of those lenses is absolutely stunning. I might say it actually rivals some modern lenses, but most of all those lenses have character. They really give you that vintage look. So that's why I really like to have a module like this on my camera, so I can use all those old lenses.
When I think about the things it took from me, I know that I am so much better. When I look at what I've done, now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far. I know I'm so much better off, and baby, you don't belong. Your love was cold.
Because let's be honest, even without the quality of the lens, it just looks really nice on your camera, and it makes photographing on the street a little bit easier if you want to shoot people. Now, of course, I normally always ask people on the street if I can take the portrait, but when you do it with a setup like this, most of the time people actually ask you, what kind of lens is that? What kind of camera? Because it just looks so vintage, and it gives you immediately a connection with the one you're photographing. And let's be honest, if you have a connection with somebody, it makes it easier to take a portrait.
Might be shaken but not stirred. Just a lesson that I've learned. And so it goes. Tables turn and you're on your own. When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things it took from me, I know that I am so.
Today I'm shooting with the Auto Takamura 50mm 1.8. It's a lens you can get very cheaply online. I think I paid 10 euros for it on a flea market, and it's a stellar lens. Now on 1.8 it's soft, of course. It's very prone to lens flare, but from 2.8 on it's actually very sharp, and again it has that really nice character. You give it a little bit of a vintage look in Lightroom and voila, you have something unique, and you don't need to Instagram the heck out of a shot to make it interesting.
Baby, you don't belong. When I think about the way we used to be, when I think about the things it took from me, I know that I am so much better. When I look at what I've done, now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far. I know I'm so much better off, and baby, you don't belong.
But how does it work? Well, it has an Leica M mount, and you mount it on your Sony camera. At the moment it's only available for Sony. What it does is, as soon as you focus, it actually moves the lens forward and backwards, like an old bellows focus lens, which you see on the RC67 Pro 2, for example. So autofocus is okay. It's not stellar fast like a normal native lens, but in all honesty, it's pretty fast. And the nice thing about the Sony E-mount is that it has a very short flange distance, and it means that you can mount almost any lens. Now in this case we're using an M42 lens, but you can change the converters over for Minolta, Nikon, Canon, M lenses from Leica, that's of course native, but also R lenses from Leica. You can use whatever you want, just buy the converters and you can use every lens. Now you have to take care of one simple thing. Up until 50mm, the focusing is total, so from 0 to infinity. If you go above 50mm, because there's only a small distance of course that the lens can travel, you need to pre-focus, and that's another really cool tip with this kind of adapters. And we're going to use that on the flea market too. Now, you know macro lenses, right? You can get really close to a subject and take awesome shots. Well, these lenses often have a minimum focus distance of, let's say, 50 centimeters. That's pretty far. But if you pre-focus your lens and you use this adapter, you're automatically changing it to a macro lens. So that's an added benefit for this adapter. And in all honesty, it's just so much fun to work with. Okay, so are there any negative things about this adapter? Well, it's not about the adapter that's negative, it's something else that you really have to take notice of. When you focus, you need a lot of light to get your focus engine working optimally, right? Imagine when you put an ND filter on your lens, the focusing will be much slower. You have the same problem with these kind of lenses, because with a normal lens you always focus with wide open aperture. With these lenses you set the aperture before you focus. So if I'm shooting on f11, the autofocus is much slower than, for example, on 2.8. This is something you have to realize when you use an adapter like this. So don't start shooting on f11 and blame the adapter it's slow. These adapters work great on 2.8, f4, and then they're really fast. If you go 5.6, f8, f11, just prepare to have slow and sluggish autofocus. But let's be honest, wide open is more fun most of the time. Now you might wonder, Frank, didn't we see you do a review of a similar product a while ago? You're absolutely right. I think a few months ago we tested the so-called Tech Art module. It does exactly the same, it looks the same, but it retails for about 50 to 100 euros more. There is a difference. The Tech Art has software that you can use on your iPhone or your Android device to update the firmware and actually set up each lens you use. So for example, you have to shoot on f22 and then go back to 2.0, and then the computer knows that you shot it with a 50mm. If you shoot on f11 and you go back to 2.0, the computer knows you used a 35mm. You can program this. For some people that's a really added benefit, because then later on they can see what lens they used for that shot. For me personally, it doesn't really matter. I only want to get the shot, of course. There's another thing, however, if you use a camera that actually calculates its image stabilization in combination with your the length of your lens, then it will have an added benefit that you can actually set it up in the module. But is that worth 50 or 100 euros more? I think not. And there's another thing. If you look online, there are people that claim that you can actually flash the software from the Tech Art into the fotodiox. I didn't try it. Well, I have to be honest, I did try it and it didn't work, but I also didn't do my best for it because I wanted to test the unit as it came out of the store. In all honesty, the conclusion, if you like old lenses, and trust me, if you think you don't, try it out and you will start loving them. Get out and get one of those fotodiox adapters. I think they are awesome. And mostly the lenses, of course, but the adapter on the Sony camera, I can't think almost of a better reason to switch over to Sony and use those old lenses, because those old lenses are magic and they really bring back the joy of photography. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, smash that like button, but most of all, tell other people about our channel so we can grow. Thank you so very much for watching, guys. See you again next time. And that will probably be behind the closed doors in South Africa.
You know I met you in the dark, it was a Saturday night. Remember seeing you just dancing in the middle of the crowd.